Did you know that one of America's most fearless presidents once ventured into the heart of the Amazon and nearly didn't make it out alive? In 1913, fresh from a bruising political defeat after failing to secure a third term in office, former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt was searching for purpose, and perhaps redemption. What he chose was no retirement or quiet reflection, but a journey into one of the most dangerous and unmapped places on Earth. The Amazon rainforest. Roosevelt teamed up with the famed Brazilian explorer Colonel Cândido Rondon to chart a mysterious, uncharted tributary of the Amazon known ominously as the River of Doubt. What began as a scientific expedition soon descended into a battle for survival. Their odyssey began with a ship ride down the South American coast and into the Brazilian interior. By January 1914, they had arrived at Taperan, where they hired over 100 local porters, camaradas, and packed mules to carry the tons of equipment needed for the long trek ahead. The group followed a rudimentary trail along a telegraph line Rondon had constructed years earlier, inching toward the unknown. At the village of Utiarity, the explorers were welcomed by the Paresi, an indigenous tribe who had previously encountered Rondon. Spirits were high, but the jungle had other plans. After weeks of struggling through dense forest and rugged highlands, the team finally stood before the River of Doubt, a wild, snaking ribbon of water that no outsider had ever dared to map. Almost immediately, disaster struck. The dugout canoes, carved from single massive tree trunks, were nearly impossible to steer. Rapids and waterfalls tore into their path. Boats were smashed, supplies were lost, 50 mules perished. Hunger and fatigue crept in. The maps were useless, often more hindrance than help. And then, Roosevelt fell gravely ill with malaria and a festering leg wound that nearly claimed his life. His son Kermit and Rondon feared the worst. But that wasn't the only danger lurking. They were being watched. Unseen eyes tracked them from the forest. The expedition was being shadowed by the Cinta, a fierce and reclusive indigenous tribe. Though never directly encountered, their signs were everywhere. Ashes from vanished campsites, rustling in the undergrowth, eerie noises echoing through the night. One of the expedition's dogs was killed by a poison-tipped arrow. Rondon, understanding the deadly risk, left out gifts of metal tools as peace offerings, hoping to appease these shadowy observers. Miraculously, the Cinta chose not to strike, but the jungle showed no mercy. A porter drowned in the rapids. Another murdered a fellow camarada in cold blood and disappeared into the endless green. The rainforest swallowed him without a trace. Nights were especially terrifying. The air was filled with the screeches of unseen animals, the bone-chilling howls of monkeys, and the hum of insects that never slept. Food dwindled. Morale dropped. Death felt close, too close. Yet the river led them on. As they drifted toward calmer waters, hope flickered. They encountered rubber tappers, men living on the edge of civilization, who offered assistance. Soon after, they met the long-awaited relief party. Roosevelt, feverish and barely conscious, was rushed to a hospital in Manaus. Though he survived the jungle, he would never fully recover. The Amazon had taken its toll. 5 years later, Roosevelt was dead, his final great adventure having nearly claimed him, body and soul. If you want to dive deeper into this harrowing tale, I highly recommend the book The River of Doubt, a gripping read that captures the sheer madness, bravery, and desperation of the journey. The link is in the description.